Hey guys, it's Maymay and a pair of shoes. Don't worry, they're brand new, they're clean. I just purchased them. These I found at Walmart for only $5.87, and I wanted to try something. Notice these are like a little sparkly gold shoe. I think they're so cute. They are perfect for my daughter-in-law, and I want to monogram them. Now, last year I saw someone make some flip-flops and monogram them with their hair straightening tool, like just sitting it on there to heat press it down, and we're going to try that today. But first, we need to cut out the monogram, and I'm going to use my Cricut Explore Air to do that. So I've taken the packaging off of the shoes. I use these scissors to just snip that away. And before I go to the Cricut, I want to measure the space I have so I'll know what I'm working with when I'm cutting out the monogram. So on the front of the shoe here, if I measure, I feel like I can do about 2 inches and be pretty happy with that. One thing I want to make sure of is I'm going to be able to get my hair tool or my straightening iron here on top of this and get a good flat press. So I don't want to wrap around the edge too much. That's just what I'm thinking as I go. So I'm going to stick to about 2 inches wide. I feel like I can get pretty flat with 2 inches. Now for the height, I'm looking and I'm thinking I'm going to go about 1.5 inches because I don't want to be all the way at the top of top of the shoe, and I don't want to wrap over the toe curve. So I'm going to do about 1.5 inches. You're going to have to decide that on the shoes that you pick or whatever it is that you're monogramming. So just measure it before you go to the Cricut. We're going to work with 2 by 1.5. Now, you could totally monogram this side of the shoe, which I think would be super cute. But for video purposes, I was just talking to Amanda. If you guys don't know, Amanda's our new customer service rep. She is awesome. So if you're sending an email to us or calling us on the phone, Amanda's going to help you. But I was showing her this idea, and she and I both love the idea of putting it on the heel. However, I think for video purposes, the toe is going to be easier for you to watch me do it. And it'll be super cute to have your little monogram on the toe of your shoe. All right, enough chat. Let's go to the Cricut. Now I've signed in to Cricut Design Space, and you can see that I've signed in because it's got my name here in the corner, so I know I'm in. And I'm going to use what comes with the Cricut. I'm not even going to get fancy and have to upload a special font or anything. You can totally upload a font like the Monogram KK font. That's a beautiful font for monogramming. It is a paid font. You do have to purchase it. And it does not come with a commercial license that I know of. You'll want to check that out. Because if you're wanting to sell these shoes, make sure your fonts are, clean fonts that you can use to sell things with. That's just a little tip. All right, I'm going to go to Insert Shapes because remember we measured that space in the shoe to know how much space we could work with. So the way I do this is I kind of make my own canvas. So here's a little square. I'm going to go over here to the Edit layer, and I want this guy to be 2 inches wide, remember, because that's what our measurement was. I'm going to unlock the little proportions right here, and then I want it to be 1.5 inches tall. So 1.5. So I've got 2 by 1.5. Now the other thing, I don't like to work with this gray square. This is just personal preference. I like for that square to be white. So I'm just going to go right here and change it to white. So now I have a white square. That is totally personal preference. Now let's add text. So I'll click on Add Text. And the initials I'm going to be using today are S, H, and E. So the first thing I'm going to do is type in a capital S. Now, I happen to already have this set for the right font because I know I want to use the botanical font, but check this out. If you head over to Edit, while you have that S selected, you can change the font. Now, the botanical font is included in my Access subscription. However, I told you I didn't want to use anything fancy, so I want to show you something. All of these fonts that are on my computer as well, I can use, and they do not have a green A and they do not have a price beside them, okay? So you know you can use those and you won't be charged, and you don't need your Access to make that work. I'm going to use the Access because I love this font called Botanicals for this. It's not a monogram font, but I think it'll look really pretty on the toe of the shoe. Look through the fonts and see what you've got. Now, if you see one like this calligraphy collection and you just really want to use it, it shows you how much it'll cost for you to be able to use it. Okay, so back to the letter. So here's the letter S. Now I need a letter H, so I'm going to grab that. Now, I don't know if you know this about monograms or not, but a monogram is done using the first letter here, which is the S, okay? Then the last name, which is my H, and then the middle initial, which is the E, Okay, so this is how a monogram lays out. Now I like, just like everybody else, I like for the H to be larger. So here's what I'm going to do. I want this H to be the center of the monogram because it's the last name initial, and I'm going to stretch it to fit in this box as close as I feel like I can get it, because remember, that box is our canvas. It tells us kind of our parameters for how big or how small we need to go with the letters. So there's our middle letter. Now these guys on the side, I'm going to start with the S, and I'm going to stretch it as much as I can to fill that space, which is about like that. And now I want to show you something. With the S selected, I'm going to head to the Edit panel, which I'm already clicked on. Now let me show you what I'm going to do. I want my S and my E to be the same size. So with the S selected, I can head over to the Edit panel, and this is my font size. I'm going to highlight all of that font size. The font size plus all the decimals. So see how I just grabbed it all? I'm going to control click or right click and copy that number. Okay? Now I'm going to click on the E, and I'm going to head to that Edit panel. I'm going to go into that font box. I'm going to highlight what is there, and I'm going to paste in the number I just copied. When I do that and click enter, that E changes to the same size as the S. So now I know they're the same size. So that's just a little tip to get those exactly the same. All right, a couple more things I want to do. I don't believe this H is perfectly centered inside this square. It may be, but I don't think it is. So I'm going to test it. I'm going to click the H, hold down Shift, and click the box or the canvas we created. Now with the Align tab, I'm going to center that. See how it moved slightly? Now I know it's in the center of our canvas. Now the S and the E need to line up at the top, right? So I'm going to go to Align, and I'm going to align at the top, those two letters. Now this E is a little too far out for me, so I'm going to click it, and just using the arrow keys on my keypad, I'm going to move it over to where I think I want it to go. And that's close but not perfect, so I'm going to do it with the mouse and move it a little bit closer in. Now you can click all three of these letters, just like that. Go to your Align tab, and you can distribute them horizontally or vertically. That will also help you get everything lined up. But I think we look pretty good, so I'm not going to worry about doing any of that. Now I want to delete the canvas we created. So I'm going to select the square or the rectangle and delete it. So we've deleted the square behind it. However, at this point in time, these letters are still separate letters. They are not connected together. So if I were to say go, when I get to my mat, they'll be on separate mats. Let's just look at that. If I say go right now, see what happens. It put them on the same mat because they're the same color, but they're not where I want them. Okay, so I'm going to X this out and come back. I want to select all of these letters. So I'm going to click and drag a box over them to select them. In my layers panel, I'm going to choose attach. That's going to attach those letters to each other. You see that? And when I say go now, they'll all be together where they need to be on the mat. Perfect. Now I want to do two of these, not just one, because I have two shoes. So see where this says project copies? I can use this up arrow and tell it 2 and click apply. And now I get 2. Those are a little close together for me because I'm going to have to weed this vinyl out a little bit. So I'm just going to move them apart. Now the cool thing about this is, while I'm here on my mat, I can see that I'm only going to use a 2-inch by 5-inch piece of vinyl. Look how little vinyl we're going to use. A 2-inch by 5-inch piece. So when I go load this on my mat, I know I just need to fill that little space. Now one last thing I almost forgot. Because I'm going to be doing an iron-on, I need to mirror image these guys. So I'm going to click right here, mirror image, and it moves them. It makes the mirror image, but now I need to separate it out again. So staying in that 5-inch mark, because I know that's where I want it. Now I'm ready to go cut. Be sure that you pay attention to the mirror image. Depending on what you're using to iron on, you want to make sure you have these images going in the correct direction. So we've mirror imaged them, and we are ready to go. Now we're at the Cricut. I've set my dial to Iron On Plus. I have it 1 notch up from Iron On because I happen to know with this material I like it to cut slightly deeper. This is a glitter heat transfer, which is my favorite. I use it for everything. I will link this below. If you will open the description box where it says show more, there'll be a link to this product so you'll know you're getting what I use. I love this product. Now with this particular product, you have to do the ugly side up. Remember, I mirrored the image. So the ugly side is the adhesive side and the pretty shiny side is the part that we want to show on the shoe. So this is ready to go. Look at this little scrap I'm using. Can you believe it? Let's cut it. So I've told it to go on Design Space, and you can see my little Cricut light is flashing way over here in the right hand corner of the screen. I'm going to click that and it's going to cut out our monogram. So they're all cut. You can probably not see it. You'll see it when I weed it out, but that took seconds to do. So let's head over to the work surface and finish these shoes up. So this is the flat iron I'm going to use, or the hot iron, whatever you guys call this. See how it has the double plates? So I'll be putting heat from the top and the bottom. I've already got this guy turned on. I don't know what temperature it gets to because this is a really inexpensive one I picked up at a local dollar store, a Dollar General. So I don't really know the temperature, but I'm thinking probably around 300. That's pretty standard for curling irons. That's from my hairdresser days that I know that. All right, so I'm going to sit this off to the side and let it heat up. Put it somewhere safe. Make sure it's not heating anything else up. It's just itself. All right, and I'm going to peel this guy off. So this was a scrap from my scrap pile that we used today, which is going to work perfect. Before I cut this out, or before I weed it out, I'm going to come right to the bottom here and trim off even a little more of this scrap so I can put it back in the scrap drawer and use it later. Believe it or not, these scraps come in handy. If you were making like earrings or something that you just needed a tiny little piece, that's still usable because the Cricut can cut that small. All right, let's weed this out. I'm going to cut them in. No, I'm going to leave them together. I think it'll be easier to weed if I keep it all together. All right, so for weeding purposes, we're going to peel away the portion of the glitter we don't want on the shoe, which in this case is the background, and that's going to leave behind the letters that we cut. I'll bring this close to the camera too so you can see it. This adhesive, the sticky part of these are so sticky. My fingers stick to it so firm, but that's good because you want your glitter to stay down. So you need that part to be real sticky. Now take your time during the weeding process. I know we like to hurry because we want to get things done so quick, but everything else in this project is so fast that you can take your time here and make sure that everything sticks where it's supposed to. That E is wanting to come off with me, so I'm going to do a little work on it. Sometimes you just need to hold it in place as you pick up. Take your time. So I got most of it. I'm going to come right here and get the inside of this E out. And then this little bit of this S. If you've never seen this before, this is how shiny this product is. Isn't that beautiful with the shimmer? So that's what it'll look like on the shoe when we get it there. All right, so here's our monograms. Can you see them there? I'll flip them over, put something behind it so you can look at it. I'll put this white behind here so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to cut these guys apart, and now I have my 2 monograms for the shoes, and now we can take them and iron them on. Look how delicate the cut is. Can you see that? It's such a delicate cut. It is amazing what that Cricut can do. All right, to the shoes, Batman. So here's one of our shoes, and I have cut a little tiny piece of some scrap fabric. I want to use this to protect the shoe as I iron it on. I'm just going to lay this in here for now. It's no big deal. I just want to have that there so that when I squeeze the hot iron on there, it doesn't burn underneath or the top. Now we're going to place the monogram. I'm going to turn this shoe facing me, and I'm going to place this where I want it. I think these are going to be so cute. You might want to make some little marks on the shoe or something so you know you get it in exactly a certain spot. I just kind of eyeballed where I wanted that to be. And now I'm going to cover it with that fabric. So I've kind of sandwiched the whole thing with the fabric, and that way it won't get scorched on the shoe. Protect the shoe at all costs, right? Now here's our flat iron, and I'm going to stick it inside the shoe. Be very careful not to burn yourself. And place this down on top of our iron-on, or on top of our glitter piece. Now remember, you're putting heat from the top and the bottom of this guy, okay? So this might go quick, so you want to kind of keep an eye on it. This little section is not down yet, and a little bit of that section, so I'm going to go back again. I'm going to put the tool into the toe and press. Now I have an edge that's not getting touched, so I'm going to come underneath and just press that down. I'm not squeezing the iron. See, I'm leaving it opening off of the sole. I'm just pressing that down to put a little heat on it. That helped that side. So I'm going to do this side as well. Not squeezing it, just pressing it. I don't want the plastic sole to touch my hot iron because that will mess us up. Now I'm going to remove this. I got a little bit of H still not sticking. Let's do it again, just on this little edge. Oh my goodness, look at that. Look how pretty that is. Now before I'm through, and I do this with all of my projects, even though this stuck down just nicely, I'm going to go back with my fabric again, and I'm going to heat press this one more time without that plastic piece in there. Because for me, that just makes sure everything's sealed down nice and tight. So I'm going to grab the shoe, press some more heat onto that, just to make sure. And I'm going to also do it like I did before, leaving the iron open. I'm not closing it. I'm just going to sit it on the tip to make sure the edges of those letters are sealed down. Look how pretty that is. Now, one thing you might want to do at home first, remember I have not tried this before doing it right now, is see how far in your hot iron will go. Because if it won't go all the way to the toe, you want to make sure you don't have too much of this overhanging so you can't heat it. But when I did it this way, when I just laid the fabric over the shoe, like so, and didn't close the iron, I just sat it on the end like this, it still ironed down those letters. I hope that makes sense when I show you. Let's do the other one. Look how cute that is. Oh my goodness, that is so cute. So shoe number 2, let's place this down. In the South, we monogram anything that sits still, so I think this is perfect. Now, because I'm eyeballing, I'm going to sit these guys side by side and see if I'm getting them really close, and that looks pretty similar. All right, so back to our fabric. Lay it over the top, put it in the shoe, and then our heat press, our homemade heat press. I bet there's all kinds of projects you could do this on. Like I said, I saw someone take fabric flip-flops and do this on the strap of the flip-flop, and I thought, well, that's just brilliant. Now, in my regular heat press, for the fabric, I use a piece of muslin, so if you have some of that, that'll work just fine. So now I can see that things are starting to stick. However, I want to do that little edge trick again. That E is almost all the way down. I'm going to place that fabric over, and now I'm not closing it. I'm just pressing that heat onto the top of the shoe, not touching the sole of the shoe because I don't want to melt that plastic. Just doing, let me see if I can turn it sideways. Just doing that. Let's see if we're down yet. All but that one little edge. I'm just going to do the same thing again. See if that got it. Yes, it did. Look at that. All right, and then my final press. So there they are, guys. Monogrammed shiny gold and glitter shoes. Look how precious. Now, in the South, every girl would want these because that's just how we are. We love our monogrammed everything. If this is too much for you being on the toe, imagine how cute it could be right here on the heel. Just as cute, but I think for showing you here, this was the best way to do it. Now, here's a couple of things I want to say to you, a couple of tips before we leave. This heat tool is a little bit wide for the toe of these shoes. I do know you can buy these more narrow, and I would suggest that you do that. Buy a more narrow one. This one is, or if you have to buy one, you may have one already in your beauty room. Let's see here. This one's about 1.75 inches wide. The other thing, if you can get one where the plate is all the way to the edge, that's even better, because this is kind of wasted space for me whenever I'm pressing that down. That's why I had to come back on the outside of the shoe like I did for the tip like this. So if you can get where the heat is all the way to the edge, that's a better deal. Look at your local thrift store too. I see these things in thrift stores all the time, so that might be a great way to pick one of these guys up if you don't use this on your hair now, to be able to make these kind of projects. Oh my goodness, what all could we sit here and heat press today and put pretty glitter letters on? I love it. I hope my daughter-in-law likes it, because those happen to be her initials, so we'll see how that goes. Thanks so much for watching today, guys. If you make this or a project, anything for Christmas, we want to see it over on our Facebook group, which is called Maymay Made It, and so did I. So head over and show us what you're making. Can't wait to see it. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.